right, guys, welcome back to the Free Play Arcade podcast. We have a super special, cool podcast today. About, I don't even know, 18 months ago, 19 months ago, 2 years?
More than that.
A long time ago, years and years and years, our video releases improved substantially, and that's thanks to the people sitting here at the table with me today. I don't know how you want to introduce yourselves, so y'all go ahead and introduce yourselves. These are the people who make our YouTube videos, and we wanted to do a podcast where we sat down and talked to them, and this is it. Awesome. So y'all introduce yourselves. However, I don't pay enough attention to like what company you have.
So my name's Matt.
Yes, got it.
And my wife Gaby here, and we are our company's called Pedal Car Creative.
Cool. And so we met like 2.5 years ago.
3 years ago.
3 years ago. Okay, so I guess tell me, how did you find out about Free Play to start?
Gotcha. So a family friend of ours that we almost never see lives in Wiley, and this is about as close as he gets to civilization is this part of DFW out here in Richardson. At that time, I'm not sure how long Free Play had been open. I think it was February or March of 2016 at the very latest.
Oh wow! So we've been open for like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, so that's when
like
we first
three or 4 months,
it.
I guess. Yeah,
and really loved it. Gaby and I are from the generation like immediately following like those that would feel like a super nostalgic connection to Free Play, but still like it's palpable. And really super enjoyed it. And yeah, we just started going every few weeks.
Every few weeks.
And it's been every few weeks.
Yes, we
Since
still
then.
continue.
I mean now y'all go a little bit more, I guess. But so like before, I mean when you came to Free Play, so that was still pretty early. We were still kind of raw at the time. I mean, we had really great games and stuff, but we were still trying to figure out what our plans were, what we were going to do. Wow, yeah, that was early. So that was before we'd announced Arlington. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Oh, wow.
We were already working together when you announced Arlington.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Goodness, this is I had my timelines totally wrong. Okay, so y'all are going to Free Play.
Yeah.
What made you want to make videos about arcades?
Interesting. So Gaby and I were working on...
Oh, and by the way, guys, I'm Corey, president of Free Play. If you're watching this on YouTube, smash that subscribe button or whatever the kids say these days. So make sure you subscribe if you like this kind of content. They would normally be like giving me like little hand signs to try to remind me to do this, but they're here next to me, so they didn't have a chance.
But subscribe.
Okay, so videos about arcades. Why?
So, like I said, at the time, Gaby and I had been trying to make a documentary about the service industry, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was a bartender through college, and I won't get into it, but we wanted to make a documentary to illuminate people to the fact that servers, at least in Texas, most states get paid $2.13. Not a lot of people know that. So we were in the early stages of that, and we wanted to make it a full feature documentary, 90 minutes. And when we started going to Free Play, we were like, man, this is a really cool, the story behind this place must be really cool. Yeah. So let's do like a dry run, short documentary on this place. And that's when I initially reached out to Facebook. I don't know if I got you or someone else.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember. I bet Julie might have helped organize things. Because if it came to me, I probably would have never done anything with it. I'm not very good at responding to stuff, but Julie would be like, hey, this is something you should respond to, check it out.
I don't think it was you.
And so then I remember meeting the first time.
At the arcade, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was at the arcade.
Yeah, it was at the arcade. And I guess I remember from our first meeting, so you were employed professionally as a videographer.
Correct.
And you were just, but obviously, like, you have passions. You were looking for something fun to do with your skills. And when I first met you, I said that you were clearly like ultra entrepreneurial. Like you clearly just kind of wanted to be able to do what you want and find a way to make a living doing that. That was like the first impression I got of you. Which was cool because we didn't really have any video content at the time. Oh, it was so I got punched in the middle. I now
that was way before. That was way after.
This whole timeline of production is now illuminating. So
we're gonna get through a lot of those stories.
All right, so we sat down at the arcade, and I remember you were. Geez, what were we even talking? I mean, we were talking about making content about arcades, or what
It
were
was
we
an
doing?
interview.
We initially wanted to do an interview.
with you.
Right, there was a second meeting. All right, so this is memory doesn't work as much. I'm like 34 now, and my whole brain is falling
And this was
apart.
like at least 4 or 5 months before Arlington was even
Yeah.
announced.
Yeah, it was. So we sit down and you do like an interview with me.
Yeah.
What happened next?
What happened next was you texted me about an auction, which was actually pretty important. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you've probably seen the auction videos. And Corey, you texted me wanting to get some footage for that little short form documentary at the auction. And seeing that process really started making me think of taking it in a different direction. Like I thought the documentary was still going to be a thing at the time, but that there might be something else to it. And that's, I think, I don't know, I don't want to speak for you, but that seemed like when you started getting that idea too.
Well, right, yeah, I think that was probably at the time. So, like, probably when we first sat down, we were talking, in the back of our heads, we were conceiving potential other locations. But we for a long time, we never really thought we need content that's of this type. And then it was probably around then we had probably had our lease signed for Arlington at that point, and it was slowly working in my head that we have more arcades, like we have a huge retro arcade collection, and every time 1,000+ games, right, or however many, plus who knows how many boards, and every day we're acquiring more. It's getting like more and more rare, more and more awesome. And I thought and I looked around YouTube, and I thought that the content that was being made for our arcades was kind of like not very. They weren't really preserving it, and then a lot of it wasn't exactly what I was looking for. You'd find a lot of technical stuff that would be just a helpful guy just with a camera trying to show you how to do stuff. But it just didn't really seem that great. It wasn't the kind of stuff that I really wanted to watch, and so then I thought there's like a big gap here, at least to try to make stuff, and then. I always think the stories behind arcades are really interesting. And so I know I was talking to you about it, and I was like, we should try work on telling some of these stories. We should tell the story of the games, tell the story of free play, and just kind of make content that would both be, valuable for us promotionally, but also I think it'd be good. It'd be really interesting. So I think that was definitely formulating in my head. The more we kind of talked, the more stuff we did.
Yeah.
Okay, so you came to an auction, recorded some stuff.
Yep.
Did we ever do anything with that stuff? Do you just have the footage?
It's actually in some videos, like as
Oh,
B-roll.
okay.
Yeah,
Got it.
that's all it ever ended up being.
It was in the channel trailer. They're like us loading the truck and stuff, right?
And there's an aerial shot.
Yeah. Okay.
I remember bringing the drone. That was like the first time I ever saw you like oh my gosh, you have it. Like this is real.
It was because the drone shots of like almost all of them that are in the channel trailer are really cool. Like it really like. Feels just a whole game-changing, elevate the video, literally. So, okay. So we recorded stuff at an auction. We've got Arlington coming. When did we sit down and, formalize that, we were going to hire you as a contractor to help record stuff?
So you didn't have Arlington yet.
Okay.
I remember the day that you signed the contract, and that was after we'd already been working together. You told me about that. So at the time, I guess you must have been thinking about it. It must have been going, but it wasn't official yet, right? And at the time, important note, Gaby was in 3D animation school.
Right.
And I think a week after the auction, you wanted to meet, and initially it was just going to be consulting, I think.
Right. You were just going to help us get stuff so that we could try to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Funny. My dreams.
And I was
of being a director.
I was super stoked about that meeting because I was like, man, he just wants me to consult. I'm going to trick him into hiring me to make him videos.
Got me. No, and that was actually, So, and that was, we were so much smaller then too.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting to think about how, because then I was looking at different budgets, and I was like, oh my god, cameras are so expensive, everything's so expensive, and I was just like, and now it's, it is expensive, but it's a whole different kind of level of scale that we're in. When you have multiple locations, and we've got our 4th, 5th announcement coming up, it we're working on whole new levels. So at the time we were just trying to do it without, going bankrupt making videos.
And you were still a lawyer at the time, I think, right?
Yeah, I was doing some practice, but it was winding up. I think probably after we had Richardson open for 2 years, that was probably about when I never did any more direct client work, some consulting occasionally or something. But yeah, I was practicing law. because I'm trying. So because I know our first videos that we recorded are at Arlington. So so eventually we're gonna have to get Arlington. And I know I think we were really really close to like we had our agreement. We're trying to figure out when we were gonna start shooting when I got punched, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
because like I remember a loopy meeting. I'm on like painkillers, and you come up to the arcade, my jaw's wired shut. And I just remember being like, "Yeah, we're gonna make the greatest gun ever." And I was just like, going as fast as I could, trying to keep like, because I had all this stuff that I had like been out of for 2 or 3 weeks, and so going back. But I remember that meeting like vividly.
Well, it was funny because that was for the first channel trailer we did. I don't know if it's public anymore on YouTube. I'm not sure, but. We made a video to post to Facebook primarily to tell people that we were making a YouTube channel. And that was that meeting because I met you at Richardson, I think, to shoot you like playing some games or something. No. And I remember I felt so bad because I remember you walk out from the back and your jaw was wired shut. Like for those listening, he couldn't talk, right?
Right. Well, yeah, you can't open your mouth. You have to learn how to talk like this and it doesn't sound very good.
And you come out, you had shaved, and I asked you.
I didn't shave. They forced me. I remember the surgeon with those razors coming at
your
me.
Eyes are closing.
As I'm drifting into surgery land.
And you come out, and I'm like, dude, what happened to the beard? And you go, oh, I got punched in the face. And I started laughing because I thought you were joking. And I felt so bad at you.
Nah.
I guess you're on painkillers or something because you're like, no, I'm serious.
No, I was real. No, I remember the meeting because I made Chris sit in it because I was just like, I was making people sit with me because like I don't even remember which painkiller it was, but it made me totally not who I like normally am. And I remember because like it didn't make me drowsy, it just made me all foggy. And so I'd be still trying to do like these serious business meetings and stuff, and I'd always be like, all right, someone come sit with me. All right, like someone come sit with me so I can try to negotiate this high level deal. And so Chris is there. I remember in the middle of the meeting, I'm sitting there like trying to talk, and Chris just puts his hand on my shoulder, and I'm not like a physical touch guy, and he was just like, Corey, are you okay?
Oh, I remember that because you were.
And he'd be like, I don't know.
I think you had a beer like on a pint or something.
Nice.
Or I don't know if it was soda or whatever, but I remember you were drinking, and progressively through the meeting, more blood like ended up in the beer. And that's when Chris was like, "Stop talking, you're bleeding."
Yeah, no, it was God, it was a pain. Because when your jaw's wired shut, it's like having braces, but it's even worse because your lips don't move with your teeth anymore because you have to talk with your lips. So yeah, it would be terrible, right? I'd be in the middle of like serious high level negotiations, and I'd have to be like, oh, not again. And it would happen like every time.
Did you ever tell the story of that assault on the podcast? Not that we need to get into
I don't know if we've ever told like I feel like I've definitely gotten into it because I remember we were recording a podcast with Chris Delp and Chris Wilson, and I was trying to figure out where because they were talking about like Spring Series 2 Super Turbo, and I was like, why don't I remember any of this? And then like in the middle of the podcast, I'm like, that's when I got punched. So no, I don't. I mean, I think that's actually probably we should table the topic, but we should bring it back because now all the litigation and all the lawsuits are closed up. I can talk about it, so I can get all the details, or most of the details. Some of them are confidential settlement.
It's a whole podcast in itself.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I remember watching you walk out, and you were like, we'll do this later. We'll come back to this.
There are still a couple shots of you with your jaw wired shut in that trailer. I don't know if it's the new trailer, definitely the first one,
But yeah, so yeah, that was a delay.
Yeah.
That was a delay. But that was, I mean, we kind of had plans. We were going to try Game of the Week, right?
Yep.
Game of the Week was, I mean, I think still some of the best content we've ever made. And some of those came out really, really well. But Game of the Week is our heart.
Yeah.
Like that, I think that's kind of the thing that we didn't fully realize. Like, lots of games have stories and stuff, but getting it all, scripting and getting everything is a lot harder, and it's not always the most rewarding, right, on YouTube.
Yeah.
So our first two concepts were a podcast, which we, not the hardest, kind of simple. You just have cameras, people talk, blah, blah, blah. And we didn't have the setups that we have now, right? I mean, these multi-camera everything is much different than when we started, and certainly than what we were contemplating.
Like, whoever's listening, go watch or listen to that very first podcast and then come back here. There's a difference.
Well, I remember, and I wasn't even in the first podcast.
No, it was Chris, Mike B, and Lauren.
Yeah, and I remember, if you listen to it, Keith Carlson. I'll step back. So we finally were going to shoot something, right? Like, we were finally going to do some channel content.
Yeah.
So we meet at Free Play Arlington. we're going to try to do a game of the week and a couple podcasts. And of course, it's after close. I don't know if it was. I think it was even a weekend close, wasn't it?
Yeah, but what's funny is in that very first meeting, when your biggest objection to it was, I just don't know when we're gonna have time to do it. Right. And then I suggested, well, why don't we do overnight? And you're like, oh. So that was the plan in the beginning because I had a full-time job.
Right.
So.
Well, and that made more sense, kind of, for me. At least I thought it did for a while. We'll have our normal business, we'll close, and then we'll do some content. That's like the Kevin Smith strategy, right?
Those were rough.
Those were rough on everybody.
So yeah, the overnights, they were tough. So, but I remember we're there finally. You're getting set up and everything. We're setting up a little podcast area, and I remember like everyone was like, "I want to watch this and stuff." And I was just like, guys, it's going to be kind of boring. And then I remember Keith Carlson was there. He starts falling asleep. He's just spectating, and we have to like kind of nudge him because he's snoring.
He's snoring, and you can hear it
in the podcast. And I remember just sitting there, and I was like, this is going to be okay. It's all going to be fine. It's going to be good. And then I remember, and what was really great is the way we had the camera set up for that very first podcast. It kind of closed off like the rest of the arcade, and everyone had sat behind the cameras, and everyone was trapped. Like everyone was just like, we can't go to the restroom, we can't do it. We'll just be walking in the back. Now, of course, we don't take ourselves quite as seriously, which I think is good. If someone walked through the shot, it actually wouldn't be the end of the world.
Yeah,
it's just people talk. It's a podcast. Yeah. But yeah, I remember sitting there and like watching Chris Delp kind of be like looking around, seeing like, and there were like 9 people watching him, and you could tell he was super nervous.
Yeah.
And then we did I thought was a really cool game of the week, which was Gravatar.
And we also did. What's the other one?
Did we record Hit the Ice that night?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh no.
Hit the Ice.
Oh my gosh, that was. So it turns out a regular game of Hit the Ice takes forever.
Yeah.
and then you get into it, but it took like an hour to play a game. Yeah. And I remember just looking back at y'all, and I'm like, we got plenty of footage, please stop. and I'm like, nah, screw this. All right, so you made the channel trailer, and that got, that was great reception, and that was kind of cool. I remember thinking that was probably the time that I realized there were some real commercial value to that, because like we put the channel trailer on YouTube and promoted it, and we're like, everyone come subscribe to our channel. But what everyone was really saying is like, this is what the heck? How did y'all produce this amazing trailer? Like, this is professional level stuff. And I was like, well, that's how we do it. But yeah, that was, people immediately realized something big had happened. I remember getting messages about the channel trailer with people just being like, that was great. That was amazing. And so we had the Gravatar game of the week. Such a cool story, but we probably should have started off with like a bigger game, Atari Star Wars or something like that. Yeah. But it was such a cool story, and that was kind of what I was focused on at the beginning. And then of course, like the next week or two, we were going to be focusing on we had a bar games month that we were trying in Arlington, which I think a lot of people thought was just kind of a weird, because they were just like, these aren't, we have like Big Buck Pro and stuff. I actually thought those were pretty good, and I had a lot of fun making those, but that was kind of the next step, and I think it was all about trying to figure out what we were going to do, because we were pretty rigid, too, at the beginning, because we had podcasts or game of the weeks,
Yeah.
And I feel like it took us, or at least it took me a long time to get kind of comfortable enough to be like, let's try some random stuff.
Yeah.
Because now, that's kind of, I feel like a lot of what we have going on, like we want, what is our current structure? Because ish. Because we have Friday videos. I have a vague idea what that is, but what do we have?
So currently it's Monday's podcast. Wednesdays, every other Wednesday at least, is a smaller video. Lately it's been long plays. We're trying to do more of those. We'll get into reasons why maybe later in the podcast. And then Fridays is what we call Friday videos. Every other is usually a game of the week, and then mix it with like a walkthrough or something that's more a little bit higher end of production than the other two.
Okay, and then of course we have these auction things that happen every once in a while.
Yeah, and those are the best.
we make auction videos, and man, it's actually, I like watching the auction videos.
Me too.
I find it really weird because I'm like, that's just me. I just did that, but I'm like, wow, this is interesting. All right, so So for a long time though, what were we doing? Once a week uploads,
Once
podcast,
a week,
and then game of the week?
Yeah, and at the time we really didn't, at least on our side, didn't have the workflow down yet. Like you can kind of see some technical hiccups in the first ones, and we didn't script those first game of the weeks either, which was kind of weird.
That was dumb. And I was like my insistence. I was like, I'll just wing it. I know so much about these games. I can just talk for hours.
And let me tell you, editing those first two was awful.
Well, and of course, then it's 3 or 4 a.m. too.
Yeah.
Like it's the middle of the night, and I was so confident in myself. I'm like, I'll do it. It'll be good. I've got some notes. It'll be cool. I did some research. And now what's really interesting is every once in a while you'll see me do what I was expecting that I could do during the podcasts, where I'll go into this big long dialogue about a game, and I'll be like, that was what I was trying to capture. It just turns out it's not really possible.
And it's like 20 minutes long.
And doing it on the fly didn't work very well. I like the first game of the week.
Me too.
Here's what I actually like. I love the energy. I wasn't I don't know what it is because I was so excited. Like now, and we weren't recording them in anything that looks like this. Like I was like leaning into like was it the fob or whatever?
Oh, I don't remember the Lav,
or Lav. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, we had some weird stuff in those early ones.
And I'm like in the back of the arcade at 4 a.m. screaming about how much I love these games. I'm like, yes. Oh man. And now I've just become a little bit more calm, but I mean, like you can tell the scripting was the big change
for sure.
That changed everything because even if I flub it 30 times going through a script, it follows along. I'm not just like randomly saying stuff.
Well, what was our third one? Because that was the first scripted. Was that
the first scripted? I don't know. So here I've got them up right here.
It was after
we did all the we have the 4 game of the weeks that were the bar games.
Oh yeah.
We had Gravatar and Hit the Ice. We also had Ghost and Goblins at Richardson.
That may have been the first scripted like non-bar game one because those bar game ones were like a minute long.
Atari Force Liberators in there. And Rampart Night Driver, that was a cool one.
Yeah, Night Driver was really cool.
Well, and it's kind of sad because I remember a lot of the early podcasts we used to have Richard in a lot, and he does great.
Yeah.
But the logistics, that's what he does is logistics and operations means he's not often in the same place as the podcast room. But looking through, it looks like, so you can kind of see it for a while. It looks like it was me, Chris, and Richard in a lot of the podcasts.
Yeah. Almost every one.
Yeah. Which that was cool. Those were good. And then, of course, I guess the first time our YouTube channel kind of got some attention was the Billy Mitchell, right? And so, I mean, I think the story behind that's really interesting because I had been following the Billy Mitchell story, obviously, and it naturally came up in the middle of a podcast. So that's why the original cut of the podcast has us talking about something like Ticket Stock or something for 20 minutes, and then out of nowhere we launch into this Billy Mitchell thing. And you know what's really that was 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Or like it was way. I remember finishing the podcast and Gaby was up front and she was like asleep. Like she would normally be, but this time it was so late she had given up.
We didn't get out until like 6 or 7 a.m.
Yeah, the sun was coming up.
That was rough.
I mean, that was so. But what's really weird is I listen to it now and I can definitely tell that I'm tired. But actually, like the description of everything came out pretty well. Like I remember thinking like later I was like I gotta listen to this because I don't know what I said, and people are watching it like crazy. And so I guess that was kind of the first. I mean, a little bit of attention we had.
I think we had like 80 subscribers or something at that time, right before I posted that, and then after that came out, and then I cut also because we did talk about Ticket Stock for like 20 minutes. I cut out just the Billy Mitchell part, and within a couple of weeks, I think we more than tripled our subscribers just based off of those videos. Well,
and I remember being at Richardson, getting set up to do another shoot, and I was like, did that anything? And you're like, that Billy Mitchell one has like 1,000 views. And at the time, we have lots of videos now that have around 1,000, but that was a big deal for us at the time. And I was like, wait, what? Because I mean, one thing that we don't think about, or at least I didn't think about initially, is how 1,000 views on an hour-long video, that's a lot of time you're spending with people, getting to know them and them getting to know free play. That's really cool.
Sure. Like a view on a podcast for sure is super valuable.
Yeah. All right, so that was impromptu Billy Mitchell. we worked a long time kind of podcasting wherever.
Yeah,
like,
that was rough too.
That was.
We were just set up anywhere. There's a lot of warehouse podcasts that we have.
Not just that, but I love Chris to death. I love him, but a lot of time because he would use the same equipment that we use for the podcast for Tuesday night fights, and without fail, every single time we'd get somewhere. It was like 1 a.m. We would have a 7 or 8 hour shoot ahead of us. And like one vital little tiny piece was missing. Every time.
And it would be the middle of the night, and we're like, how do we make this work this time? And in the meantime, you started doing shooting things like some of our events.
Yeah.
The last Christmas stuff, New Year's Eve parties.
Started making more animation.
You made the last Christmas announcement, which is one of my favorite things that I've ever watched. That one is really, really fun. And I love looking at some of these early videos because any of them that didn't get any traction, they've got like 80 views still.
Yeah.
Like, I guess probably no one's searching for the last Christmas promo video, but I love it.
That's probably my favorite free play video I've ever made.
It's really awesome. I mean, so I think around that period of time, though, we started talking about ramping up a little bit.
Yeah.
Not like crazy, because you were still working a full-time job.
Yeah.
That wasn't your, independent video making.
Super demanding full-time job, too.
Well, yeah, you'd disappear for weeks at a time. It was...
And what sucked real bad about it is that, again, I mean, up until fairly recently, 6 months ago, we were still doing overnight shoots. Yeah. And that job had me going out and shooting in the extreme heat, way out hiking like miles and back, and then I would come home and then just go to free play until like 8 the next morning, which was great, but man, it was rough.
That's harsh.
Well, and we'll get to it, but eventually it all kind of came to a head.
Yeah.
Where all of us were just like, we got to figure out something else. What are we doing? What are we doing with our lives?
I don't know about you, but my wife was very motivating in that decision.
It was really so that's the thing though. I have kids, so I would get home at 7 a.m., close my eyes, the kids would shake me awake at 7:15, and I'd be like, time to do it again. And you got to be a good parent and like.
I can't believe you did that.
So it was hard, but it was fun. It was exciting.
Was that about the time that we started doing the walkthroughs of all the warehouses?
Must have been.
Well, yeah, that has to be coming up.
Yeah.
And we started doing that, and those have been popular videos. It's hard. It's kind of hard though. Like I hate how like our warehouses changed so much. Mm-hmm. It's hard to even capture. Like there's no one spot that has our entire collection, and obviously it's getting even more difficult because we're opening new warehouses and new arcades right now. So it's really hard because I know people watch those and they don't even consider all the games we have on the floor at the arcades.
Yeah.
And all of the ones on the floor at the arcades are just like great, rare working games. So, yep. I think that is. We went to about the walkthroughs. We did a couple kind of ill-conceived movie review podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
I actually, you know what? I loved them, but no, I can see why people didn't really care about them. Because it's just people talking about a movie, and there's of course very successful YouTube channels that do similar stuff, but it's not the same.
Well, what's funny is that your review of Pixels was 2.5 hours long.
We had to cut you off.
Us dissecting a movie might get a little out of hand. We are true nerds, and you could just tell each time we would talk more longer than the entire movie was about how either bad or good it was.
It was always bad.
And that was what was really amazing is I found during almost all the movie reviews was it's constantly me who I'm generally a hater, right? But it's me pulling everyone else back from the cliff. and definitely at the end of the Pixels one, I was like, all right, we're not doing those. Which I guess if they release another arcade movie, we might try to talk something, but not the same. I don't even. Well, and that's all the successful video reviews they have like a 12-minute review of the movie. That includes like intros, outros. All right, so yeah, we started doing. We did a lot of cool Game of the Weeks. We really actually have quite a few of them done now.
Let me get back through there on my phone.
Well, I mean, there's the most. I mean, it has some views, but it needs more. Is that Enigma to the Game Plan one?
Yeah,
that was such a good one, and 477 views.
My two favorite for sure are Street Fighter 2, or I guess it's really the whole Street Fighter series. Was that one?
It's the whole Street Fighter 2 series.
Gotcha.
Because there were the 6 releases or whatever.
And the Star Wars are my two favorites.
Yeah, Star Wars was really good. The first one, the second part was kind of, I ran out of steam a little bit. But the first one, the part one is awesome. Well, it's kind of interesting because now we have so much content, right? That looking through it, it's amazing to just think about all the stuff we've done. And what I really love, especially like the game of the weeks, it's there forever, right? So if you're watching this and you haven't watched some of the game of the weeks, there's actually some really I like the Galaga one too a lot.
Yeah, that's a good one. That one has some good views compared to the rest of them.
Well, right, and the Galaga one's really cool because I was able to find some notes and some contemporaneous articles from the 80s about it that I don't think have been covered all that much. So I think there's some pretty interesting information in there that a lot of people might not know. So I think that's pretty good. I just realized I remember the video got corrupt on the Why We Hate Pixels shit.
Oh, yeah.
You were like, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I'll just put up the audio.
Well, it's just the waveforms, right, on that one?
Yeah. It was fun.
I remember I'm right there, too. I really like the ice cold beer and the fire escape.
That's probably one of my
Game of the
favorites.
Well, the fire escape has a really cool story, and the ice cold beer, of course, is just neat. Awesome game. There's the fun power drift that has Kelsey, and Richard all participating in it because I had to run out that day or something.
That's, I think, to this day, my favorite game I've ever had.
It was cool. But even watching the video, I'm like, this game was dangerous.
Yeah, it is.
But it was really, I remember making y'all sit in it and then do the turn and be like, ah! No, that was really, really cool. So now you have, in the middle of that, you launched your new company. You went full-time kind of as a freelance videographer.
Yeah.
Although you're still doing, the stuff for us. And we kind of ramped up the amount of stuff that we're doing at Free Play with you. And it also means right now it is 2:10 p.m.
not Thursday.
Not 2:10 a.m. So our life is getting a lot better in terms of quality of life and shooting. I feel like a lot of our stuff, sometimes we go off the rails anyways, but I watch now and everyone seems a lot more lifelike than we used to in the middle of the night. What was really hard is, if you watch some of those late podcasts, is you'll see me and it's 4 or 5 a.m. and I'm having to carry the podcast because you've got the other people are kind of drifting off and stuff. And I love watching some of the podcasts. There was one a few weeks back where I was super sick and just out of it.
Yep.
I love watching. That was one of my favorite to watch because I'm just watching myself zoom.
Well, actually, so backing up a little bit before we kind of went full time, we did step it up from 1 to 2, from 1 upload a week to 2, and it was a year of that. It was generally a game of the week and a podcast, and then still while I was working full time at the other place, you texted me on a Friday and it's hey, there's an auction tomorrow, let's try to do something.
So one of the things, I liked the auctions and I thought they were interesting, but one of the things I was trying to figure out was ways to make content off of what we're already doing, because I think that there's a lot of interest there, and plus it's killing two birds with one stone. And I really do think that some of just our day-to-day stuff is interesting, and we made a. I was just we're gonna I think I was reality show this thing. We're just gonna follow me around. I'm gonna buy some games. We'll talk to the camera. We'll see how it goes. And so we did that. You carried a heavy camera with your shoulder around or whatever it is, followed me around, and it was pretty well viewed.
Yeah. So we're here?
Okay, hold on. We're going to cut for a second.
Okay.
We are back. All right. So before we were so rudely interrupted by a delivery of a game, we were talking about, I think, kind of that first auction that we shot, you running around with the camera, and us just kind of trying to figure out what would make interesting footage from an auction, because a lot of auction videos are, they'll come by at the very end of the auction and just show you the prices for every single game.
Yeah.
Or if they think they're still there and stuff. Or they'll be they'll show a single scene from the auction and then just give a quick review of the auction and stuff like that. But yeah, I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't thinking, reality TV is a thing now, right? So with reality TV in existence, I was trying to figure out a good way to, kind of capture the story of the auction. And so, you came, camera, and I don't even remember the first auction. What did we do? We mic'd me up and...
I had no idea what it was going to be. I just mic'd you up and just shot.
I don't even think we really knew what what parts of the auction would be like successful. Like
Yeah,
for
what
YouTube
would be interesting to
video.
watch. Like, I literally was just like, all right, I'll just film
Watch.
everything and deal with it later.
Yeah. So, and what we found is people really like kind of following the bidding, right?
Yeah.
Hearing about what games we're going to bid on, and then just, I mean, which, it's kind of, as an artiste, I think, geez, we're kind of ripping off a reality show. But as someone who likes interesting content, that is really, it is really interesting. And I do love seeing, especially when I don't remember exactly what I said after I bid on something, because that's actually, it's a huge change for me going to the auctions, because used to I just sit at the back and buy everything. That was it. And I have all these internal dialogues going, but that was it. I just buy exactly what we needed for the prices. And now it's, I'm aware of the camera, obviously, but it's me trying to come up with what in the moment to say to the camera about what I just bought or what I'm planning on buying. And it's really funny because sometimes I'll watch it afterwards and just be like, would not have said that if I was thinking about it. Like, well, I mean, especially it might have been the first one. Was the first one that we did the one that had all of the what's that?
Vroom.
The Vrooms. Was that the first? Or was that like the
First
second?
or second.
That might have been the
Let me
second.
look at which one was
So
first.
the second one, of course, is the one where I got into like this huge, like, it's like a runner's high, but for auctions. And we hit these rooms, and every, like, for, I don't know, like 30 or 40 minutes, everything was going exactly how I wanted it to. And that was the one that got everyone frustrated, because they were like, you're just bidding stuff up to be a jerk and stuff like that. And of course, that's not true. Exactly. I'm bidding on stuff to make sure that either I get it, which is the primary goal, or the other person isn't going to get it for super cheap. But I'm not doing that. I'm doing that because I would rather pay, my last bid, than let them get it for, because there are certain items there that, if it wasn't me bidding on it, they might go really, really cheap. But I'd much rather buy.
Sorry.
There it is. There's
That's the first one.
there's the. But yeah, I remember watching that a second time and being like, I probably should have just explained better that it's. I really want the games that I'm bidding on. I'm never bidding on something I don't intend to buy. But sometimes I make sure that whoever's getting it is going to have to pay, or else I get to go home with it, which is also an acceptable end for me. And I mean, obviously, I think one of the things that's happened since we started doing the auction videos is people's dynamic of the auctions towards us have changed.
For sure.
Like, I mean, not only does, when we first were recording, everyone was really skeptical too, right? Like, I remember plenty of people that would be like, don't put me on that camera.
Oh, yeah.
No,
there were
man.
a few that were like a-holes to me about it.
And now everyone is a little bit more. I mean, most people are just like, I've watched all these videos. And I think what's really interesting though, maybe is that for some people the cameras become invisible now.
Yeah.
So like, I don't think that first time we had too many people walking up to me like trying to do side deals on camera because they knew the camera was there, or trying to be like, oh man, do you really want that game? I'll give it to you for X amount of money. That didn't really seem to happen as much, and now no one even seems to notice.
Yeah.
People come right up to me and discuss everything, and they're talking like right into the mic because they're always like trying to pull me aside. I'm like, wow, I can't believe you're saying this.
I'm glad you said that. What's funny is one of my favorite moments is 2 auctions ago. You can go watch it if you're interested, but there was this guy that was selling pinball, I think, that came to you just for that, and I was right next to you at the time, and he interrupted a shot, and he like waved me off, and as soon as I like walked away, and then a second later I came back and I was in his face, and he must not have realized that I was like there, and we got the whole exchange on. It was hilarious.
Well, yeah, and I mean, because we're there to try to document exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
And that's, there's all this adrenaline. There's all these people. I mean, there's people trying to, sell, make money. There's people trying to buy games for their house. There's barcades desperately trying to buy a bunch of stuff. And then there's all sorts of cool little side hustles going, side transactions. Because it's where a bunch of people who love arcades come together and literally trade them. Mm-hmm. So it is really funny because I think even those people that were like that would wave you off, I think they're slowly realizing that it's good for the auction no matter what.
Yeah.
Because it brings more buyers. And that's one thing I've noticed. And, I'm actually doing it like, though I think it's interesting content. One of the big reasons I was trying to get into that is to make more people aware of these auctions so that maybe we'll flush out some of these rare cabs, just, because there's people that have these games just sitting in their living room or they've been in their garage for 30 years and haven't been turned on, or, up north, they're all just sitting in basements and people are trying to unearth these games. And I thought if I showed that there's an auction that people could come and show that there's real money being exchanged for these games.
Yeah.
That maybe that would get some out, and we've seen some really cool stuff come through the auction. Watching that last auction video was really, really neat because there was a period there where I think we got some of the best deals I've ever had at any auction. And it was in the middle of, prices are at all-time highs. And, from now on, I'm just going to say it was that power bid that I did. That totally that messed with everyone's head. And then I got all this cheap stuff because all the cheap stuff did come afterwards. So that was fun. So the auctions have been a pretty big hit on YouTube, especially for us, which it's kind of interesting to talk about because our goals on YouTube aren't necessarily the same as like a normal YouTuber, right?
Yeah.
YouTubers, they want subscribers. They want like constant video watches of, it doesn't matter who. They just want people watching their stuff so that they get more views, so that YouTube gives them some small check. And that, but that's like their goal, is to build some sort of notoriety on YouTube to try to eventually, I guess, make money or whatever. And some people are really, really good at that. Ours is more, we just want people to associate high quality content with free play.
We don't even monetize the channel.
Well, right, yeah. I mean, there's no reason to, for one, but it's really, really nice, I think, to live in a world where having 1,000 view video is a hit for us. Like, that's a good video, way to go. Yeah. And what's cool is, though, we know that the 1,000 people that watch that are high quality people that we are interested in showing our stuff to. You don't find our stuff if you're not really into arcades or interested in visiting arcades and that kind of stuff. So when you look at the views and everything, it's just totally different. Plus, we do have a ton of watch time.
That's the big thing.
Yeah, people who like our stuff watch it a lot, watch most of the stuff that we put out, and watch it through the whole way. They watch it to completion. So that's awesome. That means, that's a good sign that the content's being positively responded to. So the auctions, that was a big kind of change, because now we film every auction.
Yeah, every single one.
And
when you're not coaching soccer.
Yeah. Well, and you had many. I don't even know if you had any complaints this time about the run times on the episodes.
No, so that was a good thing. So in the start, we did like 2 30-minute.
Right. They were super, super long.
Yeah, and now we do like 5 or 6, however long they end up being.
Well, and what most people, on the internet don't realize, when we were doing those 30-minute episodes or 22-minute episodes, they would come out like 3 weeks after the auction, right? Because that takes a long time to compile and everything. And now what you're doing is you're taking the content, going to the editing station, and immediately starting. And so you'll get that 8 to 10 minute video done. You'll put it up, then you'll get the next one.
Auctions are on Saturday. Every auction now starts on Monday. The videos.
Right. So it's the turnaround's much faster, and no one, I don't even want to mention the complaints because no one really seemed to mind now.
Yeah.
Now that it's, it seems like there's a much straighter path for the auction videos for everyone. So that was cool.
Yeah.
And we've been toying around. We shot a video not too long ago, rearranging the arcade.
Yeah, and it did pretty good.
That actually was a pretty interesting video to watch. I watched it afterwards and I was like, yeah, that was cool. And I could see like ways that we could get more content into it, change it around. But I thought that was still very interesting. And that's certainly one of the goals when we started, was trying to capture both how great arcades are, but also how great free play is in the business and the interest. Because we're living in an arcade. It is our job. So I think there's a lot of interesting parts about that no one knows about. So
yeah, tech work, what goes, what doesn't, all that's really fun to watch.
All right. So what does the future hold for Free Play Arcade's YouTube channel? What are we gonna do? How are we gonna change things up, keep things interesting, super fresh?
All right, cool. Well, now that I have an opportunity to say this to people and hold you to it, I want to do a series on tech work really bad.
Yeah.
I want to follow. If we can do it, I know that this is tough, but I really want to find next auction, whenever we can do it, follow from the purchase of the game to the floor and how involved that process is, because that would be a multi-episode thing, I think. So that's something I really want to get into. Quality, like technical quality, keeps getting better, and will continue to get better.
Well, and on the tech thing, one of our biggest problems we've had is actually, one, if a game breaks, it's on the floor, it's fixed very fast. And two, if there's like a tech issue that we're diagnosing, we don't know if we're gonna be able to fix it in 1 second or 3 days.
Yeah.
So it's hard to capture exactly that. But yeah, I think that might be the ways. We're gonna buy an auction game and see kind of the story of the tech work, the prep work and everything that goes into it.
And
And
deciding which arcade it goes to, like the whole process.
yeah. No, I think that would be really, really good. And I know we're talking, hopefully, traveling to some more auctions, different auctions around the country, captains in California and everything, because most of my interactions with that auction are I buy online and then they send the whole truck here. But I think it'd be really, really cool to go there.
Absolutely.
And I know we've been talking potentially featuring some of the cool collections around town.
Yeah.
That would be cool. And if you're watching this, I mean, we've got kind of a small list together, but if you're watching this, you're in DFW and you're interested in displaying like your cool collection, hit up, let's send it to Chris. Hit up Chris at freeplayinc.com and he'll try to coordinate, because I think that would be really cool. It's kind of weird because 7 years ago, you wouldn't be able to find a collection like as good as the one that's on any of the free play floors in a home, but you have to go to homes just to get any of them, right?
Yeah.
Any of these games. And now there's just so many good games out at free play. I don't want to just be featuring the same kind of stuff over and over. So we're going to be finding some super rares, super awesome collections. Get into, I mean, old pinball would be cool, guys. So I'm throwing out there to the internet. If you live in the area and you want to show off your stuff, let us know and we'll try to figure that out. What else we got coming up?
For sure. Definitely, I'd love to travel to Captain's, in California, like you said. I want to make auctions more of a thing. I mean, that's definitely seems to be resonating, and it seems to be the tent pole right now. Like, we're doing great content in between auctions, but that's what it feels like. It's in between auctions, you know?
Well, and it's nice because the people who watch the auction videos naturally kind of respond to our other content.
Yeah.
It's right in their wheelhouse. So it's a good way to get people hooked in the door, and then we sell them some sweet games of the week, podcasts here or there. It's awesome.
For sure. And another thing that we haven't touched on that I think is important, that is something I really love about working with you, is we shoot everything in 4K, which is kind of a technical, whatever, but we keep everything we shoot like in raw data. Like, I have hard drives backed up everywhere, much to Gaby's chagrin. And I think it's important, and I think it'll be important someday, especially that we're cataloging the gameplay pixel by pixel, like as good as it possibly can be forever, for games that might not be around
Well, and I remember like when I go and watch that Gravatar video and the way, just how beautiful the game looks. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be there forever. That's so cool that exists.
I mean, in 100 years, I know it's lofty, but in 100 years, if someone no Gravatars around anymore, someone wants to recreate it or whatever, then we'll have pixel perfect, gameplay of all these games. Not just that, but we're taking great shots of the marquees and all that, like just to have that around for the long haul, I think will be important.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm watching the New Year's Eve video. Because I remember, I mean, the confetti cannons, we still find confetti everywhere, and it's been 9 months. Because every time we climb to the top of a rafter and touch something, down falls some confetti. Or we'll pull out a game like Miss Pac-Man that's been sitting there for a while. Somehow there's like 30 pieces of confetti underneath. But we are doing it again this year. But and I think it's really cool documenting the parties too, because like one of the things that I've been thinking about is all the stuff I did like in high school, college, all of that stuff that I thought was important, like when I was traveling the world playing Counter-Strike or whatever. There's no evidence of that. There's no footage. Mm-hmm. I mean, there might be an occasional website that has some tournament results, and that's it. Like that's. And then I think about how free play we've developed all these communities and stuff, and they're always going to have proof that this was here. This was like a big thing. If free play in 20 years is completely history, they'll all be able to say these. Look what was going on back in 2019.
Yeah.
This is like my second childhood or whatever. Because I think for a lot of us right now in the in their late 20s, early 30s, it really does feel like that. Especially in our communities, I mean, 40s, 50s, it doesn't matter. Everyone, it kind of feels like free play has brought back a whole new, I mean, there's different crews that come to free play to play their games, and different clubs and different kind of organizations that are forming that are, going to be part of these people's lives. And I think that recording that has been so important. So, that's why, and if y'all see videos like that are just like a party recap that has like 80 views, know that that doesn't really exist for just right now. It exists for forever. And that's why we're recording them, and that's why we're making it. So I think that's really cool. And I think it'll be fun, for example, like I have kids, right? To be able to show them some of the stuff we were doing when they were young.
And like the Super Turbo video, that's like a one-off that I want to do more of. Like that one, cataloging that was so cool, especially the way we did it. kind of telling the whole story of the whole thing.
Well, and then the video that y'all did for this was really good. The Spring Series recap video.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
That was epic. Like,
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
oh, that's the one. Yeah. That was like, so that was kind of like groundbreaking for the entire like fighting game world. Like, they still talk about how like it would be so cool if all the events had something like that.
Yeah.
Had some look back that they could turn to instead of just, you know, some Twitch feeds and stuff.
Right.
It's like that's a produced like short film about the event. And it's awesome. No, it's super
We
cool.
should do more of that for sure.
Let's see. So I'm trying to look back. We've did the walkthrough videos. We've done all these. We did those NVM videos for a little bit, just event videos, but that's kind of more of the same. I like, it's funny because I like the hype videos, even if I'm like the only person that watches them. I'm like, yes.
What else is there? The Retro Wave Party video is pretty cool.
Well, and one of the things that I've noticed that y'all have been doing over the past probably 13 or 14 months is really refining the channel, going back to each video, getting, you know, different thumbnails or different, and that's all. I think, you know, it's much more eye-catching in this stuff, and like getting more people to our channel is awesome because like we've seen it, the content is well loved once we get them there.
And we have some funny videos of you making poses for those thumbnails too.
One of them is my Facebook
Yeah.
profile right now because I didn't look at all. This is so the video that irritates me the most is when I was walking through the arcade doing the attacks video before I shaved my beard because I had the freshly shaven head and my beard was long. I was like, yeah, that's a cool look. And then I look at the next video when I shaved my beard for some unknown reason, and I'm like, no, you screwed up, dude. But I had to change it so I looked like that. All right, so what else we got? Oh, hey, you know what we've started doing though? We've started also mirroring our Twitch streams on YouTube.
Yeah.
How's that going?
Recently. It's going pretty good. The live viewers aren't as high as Twitch, but the like post live viewers are pretty good.
Well, I think that's like kind of how, I mean, YouTube's probably really, really great at archiving that stuff compared to Twitch, because though Twitch does save those videos, I don't even fully understand like when they disappear, why they disappear. I mean, I'm sure there's set rules, but I don't really follow that.
Yeah, so having that around for a while is great, and just having that. There was a comment on the very first stream we did like 2 weeks ago from someone that said, ESPN for retro games, I'm in, or something, and that made me so happy. It's like, that's the world we're trying to build here, you know?
Right, well, and that's what's really cool is for some of this stuff, certainly like the retro arcade games, we're like the only people really doing it.
Yeah.
And and I also love that and this has always been the dream for free play, the higher quality stuff we produce, you know, like these videos, the streams, everything, the more people have to kind of step up their game out there. So the entire retro arcade world has to kind of come with us as we make it better or fall behind. So no, I think it's all awesome. I think everyone that's going to watch this is going to be very appreciative of y'all's work, because the people who watch our YouTube channel, they all seem very, very happy. And there's definitely it's definitely all high quality. So I think that kind of wraps it up. We were just kind of talking, chatting. How do they find you if they want your services?
Awesome. Go to Pedalcar Creative, PEDAL carcreative.com.
All right. So if y'all want some awesome videos, I mean, DFW area or not, he'll come to you.
Yeah. YouTube channel
management.
management. That's the big thing too, is YouTube channel management. We do both sides.
So if you have any need for these services, hit him up. He's awesome. He's done every single video, I think, that's on our YouTube.
Yeah, and Gaby's been doing a whole lot, too. She's been editing about half the free play
Well,
content.
and that's what's really cool, too, because when you went full-time freelance, y'all both kind of got to really work together now.
Yeah.
And as someone who works with his wife, I love it. I think it's awesome. So I think it's really, really neat, and y'all seem like an awesome team and everything.
Yeah.
So I don't like to say nice things. So
I mean, I love it. Like
I kind of get quieter and quieter. I'm like, yeah, everything.
I love it like 99% of the time.
Yeah. I mean, disagreements are hard. Working with a spouse.
I mean, you guys are both lawyers too. Your arguments must be pretty awesome.
No, so it's really, really hard because I'm very, very good at making someone, even if I'm wrong, seem wrong. It was like one of the I mean, it's a very, very good skill, but it's so infuriating to be against me. So no, it's not good. I can tell now though when we're starting to go down that path, and I just like nope, let's stop. We have to stop.
Well, what I love, and this is maybe a little too crazy, but Gabby has been picking up on like whenever we're scheduling a shoot or something, and Kelsey's just like, nope, can't do that or whatever. Like Gabby, like lately has been definitely following in those footsteps. She's like, man, I love how Kelsey like, schedules things and handles it.
Well, no, it's the real thing is I've got like 3 or 4 different people who all like have to make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, because otherwise I'll just be like, I'm just gonna mess around, and so it's a team effort to keep me on track. All right, but cool, yeah. Pedal Car Creative, they're behind the Free Play YouTube, and they should be behind your YouTube channel. So for that, we're signing off. We're gonna hit y'all back with some more podcasts in a minute.
Sweet, thanks guys.
Bye.